Have you ever typed an address into Google Maps and ended up somewhere that shouldn't exist at all? Maybe a road that disappears into thin air, a building that can't be found, or an entire town that only shows up on satellite images. If this already makes you curious, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Won't Believe, and hit the bell icon to explore the world's most unbelievable hidden truths. Google Maps is one of the most used tools on Earth, relied upon by billions every day. Yet, despite its incredible accuracy, there are spots on the map that simply shouldn't be there. Some are the result of human error, a mislabel, a wrong coordinate, or an outdated record. Others are far stranger, locations that exist in plain view on satellite images, but no one can find them on the ground. For example, there are roads in the middle of oceans, islands with no record, and even buildings that vanish when explorers try to visit. These locations have baffled curious travelers, urban explorers, and even mapping enthusiasts who spend hours combing through coordinates, street view, and satellite imagery. Some of these ghost locations are tiny, almost laughable, a single farm or a deserted shed that appears to be a bustling store. Others are far larger, like entire villages or towns that appear fully mapped, with roads, houses, and even schools, yet no one has ever physically verified them. The reason these phantom places exist is complex. Mapping is not just taking a photo from above, it's an enormous, human-influenced system. Google relies on surveys, government data, user submissions, and satellite imagery to create its maps. Every piece of information passes through layers of editing and verification, but errors creep in, and some of them persist for years. In some cases, these locations are intentional. Cartographers sometimes add fake towns or roads, called trap streets, to catch plagiarism from competitors. Other times, governments mark secret facilities or restricted areas in ways that hide the location from public view, yet allow the satellite images to display some trace. By the end of this story, you'll see examples that are not only baffling, but also mind-bendingly real, places you can check yourself on Google Maps if you dare. As we dive deeper, one of the most curious examples are roads that lead absolutely nowhere. They appear perfectly drawn on Google Maps, complete with lanes, intersections, and sometimes even street names. Yet when explorers try to follow them, they often end abruptly in fields, forests, or bodies of water. One famous case appears in the rural outskirts of a European country. On the map, it seems to connect two small villages, but when travelers attempted to drive it, the road simply vanished halfway through. No asphalt, no dirt path, nothing, just trees and overgrown land. Locals had never seen it before, and satellite imagery alone seemed to be the only proof of its existence. These phantom roads aren't just glitches. Many arise from outdated planning maps that never materialized into reality. Governments often draft infrastructure blueprints and share them with mapping agencies. If these plans are added into databases, they can persist digitally long after construction is canceled or postponed. In other cases, roads are misaligned during satellite stitching. When multiple aerial images are combined to form a seamless map, slight errors in angle or timing can create shapes that look like streets where none exist. From above, it's convincing. Lanes, markings, and even crosswalks appear as if someone painted them there. The effect is striking. People exploring these non-existent roads often report a sense of disorientation, as if reality doesn't match what the map promised. GPS devices stubbornly try to guide them along the imaginary route, leaving drivers frustrated, confused, or in extreme cases, lost. But it's not just about inconvenience. Some phantom roads reveal how much we rely on digital information without questioning it. Our trust in satellite imagery, street view, and map navigation is so strong that when it fails, it forces a confrontation with reality. Suddenly, the invisible gaps in knowledge become glaringly apparent. Interestingly, these non-existent roads also highlight human creativity. Map editors, intentionally or not, are leaving traces of imagination, blueprints, and miscalculations for future generations to discover. In a way, they are digital echoes of possibilities that never materialized in the real world. Beyond ghost roads, there are entire islands on Google Maps that simply do not exist. These phantom islands appear in oceans, lakes, or even rivers, complete with contours, vegetation, and sometimes labels. Yet when explorers sail to them, there is nothing but open water. One particularly famous example lies in the Pacific Ocean. For decades, maps showed a small landmass with coordinates marked as emerging from the waves. Ships and aerial surveys searched for it, but no land was ever found. Despite repeated confirmations of its non-existence, the island continued to appear on digital maps. The reasons behind these phantom islands vary. Some originate from mistaken observations, sailors in the past reporting fog banks, floating vegetation, or mirages as solid land. These historical errors were then carried forward into modern map databases, amplified by satellite stitching or automated map generation. Other islands are the result of deliberate fabrications. Governments, mapmakers, or cartographers sometimes add fictitious locations, known as trap islands, to detect copyright infringement. If another map uses the same coordinates, it reveals copying. These islands exist only to protect intellectual property, yet to the casual viewer, they seem real. What's even more intriguing is how these non-existent islands affect navigation. Some digital navigation systems will route travelers toward them, creating confusion and curiosity. Pilots, captains, and explorers who notice the discrepancy often document it, adding layers to the mystery and fueling online discussion. These phantom islands also raise philosophical questions about reality versus representation. If an island exists on a widely used map but not in the real world, what does that mean? Is it real in the digital sense, or merely a glitch, an error, or a placeholder for imagination? For billions who rely on Google Maps every day, these phantom locations are a quiet reminder that even the most trusted systems are fallible. By now, it's clear that the world according to Google Maps is not always the world we physically experience. Roads, islands, and towns that appear on our screens may never exist on land, yet they persist, quietly shaping our perception of geography and reality. It's not just roads and islands. Some of the most baffling ghost locations are entire buildings that exist digitally but vanish in real life. These structures appear on Google Maps with fully rendered shapes, shadows, and even labels. Yet, when explorers arrive at the address, there is only empty land or completely different structures. One striking example comes from a European city. A cluster of apartment buildings appeared on Google Maps in a busy neighborhood with detailed footprints and shadows as if they had been photographed. Yet locals and property records confirmed the buildings were never built. People visiting the site were left scratching their heads, staring at vacant lots where the digital world insisted there was a bustling complex. Why does this happen? Sometimes, map databases are updated with planned construction projects. If a building is scheduled but delayed or canceled, the information may remain online. Satellite imagery can also cause confusion. When images are outdated or misaligned, shadows or construction materials can appear as full buildings. Other times, these phantom buildings are user-generated errors. Google Maps allows users to add places, and occasionally, false information is uploaded, whether by mistake or intentionally. Once integrated, these entries can persist for years unless corrected, giving rise to digital-only architecture. The impact on viewers is fascinating. People who rely on Google Maps for real-world navigation may expect a destination that simply isn't there, leading to frustration or bewilderment. Some urban explorers have turned this into a hobby, tracking down vanished buildings, comparing digital maps with reality, and documenting the anomalies online. These disappearing structures also reveal the complexity of mapping systems. Even the most advanced satellite technology cannot perfectly capture the world. Human input, software interpretation, and imperfect data all influence what we see. The result is a mix of reality and illusion, where the digital map feels real until proven otherwise. By now, a pattern emerges. Google Maps is reliable, yet imperfect, creating tiny pockets of mystery hidden in plain sight. Roads that end abruptly, islands that don't exist, and buildings that vanish. All of these invite curiosity and questioning, showing that even a tool we trust daily holds surprises. If ghost roads, phantom islands, and vanishing buildings weren't strange enough, the next layer of mystery is entire towns that appear on Google Maps but don't exist in reality. These digital towns often show streets, squares, parks, and even names for shops and schools, yet anyone who visits finds nothing. One of the most famous cases is a town in Eastern Europe. On Google Maps, it appeared fully mapped: residential streets, a central square, even a labeled marketplace. Explorers who traveled there reported nothing but empty fields, as if the map had imagined a town where none had ever been built. Locals were unaware such a town even existed, and historical records offered no clues. These ghost towns arise from multiple sources. Some are remnants of planned developments that never materialized. Governments, planners, or private developers submit maps to agencies, and if construction is canceled or delayed, the digital footprints often remain. The map shows what could have been, not what actually exists. Others are deliberate. Trap towns have been added by cartographers to detect plagiarism, a practice that goes back decades. If another map shows the same town, it's proof that data has been copied. These phantom towns serve a subtle purpose, yet they create a striking effect for the curious viewer. The experience of finding one of these non-existent towns is surreal. Explorers often describe a mix of awe and disbelief. The map promises a thriving settlement, reality delivers open space or completely different structures. GPS systems stubbornly try to navigate them, compounding the sense of unreality. Interestingly, these towns highlight the limits of digital perception. Just because something appears on a map doesn't mean it exists. The human brain is wired to trust maps, so when a town disappears in reality, it forces a confrontation between expectation and truth. These phantom towns, like ghost roads and islands, show that Google Maps is both a tool and a puzzle. It reflects human ambition, imagination, and error, all layered together in digital form. For viewers, it's a reminder that the world on screen isn't always the world underfoot. Some of the most intriguing ghost locations on Google Maps aren't mistakes, they are intentionally hidden. Certain military or government sites are disguised to appear as ordinary towns, roads, or buildings. On the map, everything looks normal, but in reality, access is restricted or the structures are entirely different. For example, in several countries, aerial and satellite imagery reveals compounds that resemble small villages. Streets, houses, and even vehicles appear normal from above, yet when people try to visit or look closer, they find heavily guarded areas or empty land. The official purpose of these sites is often classified, leaving only clues in the digital map for curious viewers. These hidden or disguised areas also highlight the trust we place in digital systems. Millions rely on Google Maps daily, assuming the digital layer reflects reality. But with these secret or misrepresented locations, we are reminded that even the most sophisticated tools are not perfect mirrors of the real world. Even more interesting, some of these locations have been deliberately flagged by local users who notice inconsistencies. Discussions online often attempt to match coordinates with historical records or satellite patterns. The result is a crowdsourced detective story where curiosity meets the limits of mapping technology. By this point, it's clear that Google Maps contains a blend of reality, error, and intentional misdirection. Roads that vanish, islands that don't exist, buildings that disappear, towns that were never built, and secret sites that hide in plain sight. All of these make up the hidden world of digital geography. Some of the most baffling ghost locations aren't just roads, islands, or towns. They're airports and airstrips that appear on Google Maps but don't exist in reality. These digital runways sometimes look fully operational, with taxiways, hangars, and even tiny markings for takeoff and landing. Yet pilots, explorers, and aviation enthusiasts often find nothing there when they check on the ground. One striking example is a small airstrip supposedly in South America. On the map, it was outlined clearly with asphalt markings and labeled with a code like a real airport. Satellite images even seems to show tiny service buildings nearby. But when researchers attempted to visit, the land was an empty field, overgrown with grass, without any trace of the airport infrastructure. These phantom airports arise from multiple causes. Some are planning errors, where old construction proposals or preliminary surveys were digitized before the airstrip was actually built. Others result from misinterpreted satellite data. Shadows, construction materials, or roads that resemble runways can be mistaken for airstrips during automated mapping processes. There are also deliberate examples, similar to trap streets or phantom towns. Governments sometimes place fake or disguised airstrips to protect sensitive areas or confuse reconnaissance efforts. To the casual observer, it's a puzzle. Why is a full runway mapped in a location that cannot possibly support an aircraft? These non-existent airports aren't just curiosities, they also reveal the power and limitations of digital navigation. Even sophisticated tools like Google Maps can mislead those who rely on them entirely. GPS devices stubbornly route toward the phantom airstrip, leaving pilots or explorers in a state of confusion and disbelief. What's fascinating is how these digital illusions fuel crowdsourced investigation and online curiosity. Aviation forums, YouTube videos, and blogs are filled with enthusiasts tracking these invisible airports, comparing map data with real-world observations, and uncovering anomalies that spark endless speculation. At this point, a clear theme emerges. Google Maps is not just a tool for navigation, it's a layered world of reality, error, and mystery. Roads that end in nowhere, islands that vanish, buildings that disappear, towns that never were, secret sites, and now phantom airports. All these examples show how our trusted digital map can contain hidden worlds of wonder and confusion. Beyond roads, buildings, and airports, another mysterious category of ghost locations exists. Rivers, lakes, and water bodies that appear on Google Maps but are non-existent in reality. These water features sometimes look perfectly mapped, with meandering shapes, tributaries, and even small docks. Yet when explorers or researchers visit, they find nothing but dry land, swamps, or completely different terrain. One particularly baffling example appears in North America. A lake is outlined on maps, complete with a small island in its center and labeled as a recreational spot. Satellite images appear convincing. Shadows, reflections, and water patterns all suggest its presence. Yet when surveyors and locals investigated, they discovered a flat field with no water at all, making the lake entirely imaginary. These phantom water bodies often originate from historical mapping errors or outdated records. Early explorers or surveyors might have reported a seasonal or temporary water body, which later cartographers digitized into permanent features. Once added to a database, these errors persist digitally, even if the physical feature no longer exists. Sometimes, natural phenomena like floodplains, ice melt, or mirages are misinterpreted as permanent lakes or rivers. Automated satellite analysis can mistake shadows or terrain shapes for water, creating convincing illusions on digital maps. Other cases are deliberate. Certain regions may have fake water bodies added to maps as traps or placeholders for government surveys. While they look real to the average user, the intention is to protect sensitive areas or detect unauthorized copying of map data. For users exploring these locations, the experience is surreal. Following Google Maps toward a river or lake that doesn't exist can lead to confusion, frustration, or even danger. These ghost water bodies challenge our reliance on digital navigation and remind us that not everything on a map is a guarantee of reality. Interestingly, these digital-only rivers and lakes have sparked communities of explorers and researchers who document anomalies, compare satellite images with real-world conditions, and track changes over time. Online, these investigations fuel curiosity and discussions about the limits of digital mapping. By now, the pattern is undeniable. Google Maps contains layers of reality, error, and imagination. Ghost roads, islands, buildings, towns, secret sites, airports, and now rivers and lakes. All of these reveal a world that is partly digital, partly real, and wholly fascinating. After exploring ghost roads, phantom islands, vanished buildings, entire towns that never were, secret sites, phantom airports, and rivers and lakes that exist only digitally, it's clear that Google Maps isn't just a navigation tool, it's a window into a layered, mysterious world. So why do these ghost locations persist? The reasons are a combination of human error, historical inaccuracies, deliberate design, and technological limitations. Satellite imagery is powerful but not perfect. Data comes from multiple sources: government records, user submissions, automated surveys, and even old maps. Each layer introduces the possibility of mistakes or inconsistencies. Some locations are intentionally misleading. Trap streets, fake towns, and disguised military sites exist for legal, strategic, or security purposes. Others are remnants of plans that never materialized, roads or buildings that were drawn on paper but never constructed. Then there are places born purely from misinterpretation of satellite data, shadows, seasonal changes, or optical illusions. The fascinating part is how these ghost locations affect our perception of the world. Most of us trust Google Maps completely. We follow its directions, plan our trips, and navigate unknown places relying on digital certainty. Yet these anomalies are a quiet reminder that digital maps are not infallible. What appears real on the screen may not exist on the ground, challenging assumptions and sparking curiosity. For explorers, researchers, and curious viewers like you, these locations are not just errors, they are puzzles waiting to be solved. They invite people to question what they see, compare digital data with reality, and share discoveries online. In a way, ghost locations have created a new form of urban exploration, one that exists in the overlap between reality and digital representation. As we conclude, it's worth remembering, the world is far more mysterious than it seems. Roads that vanish, islands that never appear, buildings that disappear, and towns that only exist in the digital ether, all of these show that maps are as much about imagination as they are about reality. If this video made you curious, fascinated, or even a little bewildered, you're not alone. These ghost locations are just the tip of the iceberg, waiting for explorers to uncover the hidden stories behind every digital anomaly. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Won't Believe, and hit the bell icon, because the world is full of unbelievable things that quietly exist, and there's plenty more waiting to be revealed.